It's Psychic Medium Jojo Empathic here. And in today's video, I'm going to dive deep into how to discern demonic activity, okay, or demonic energy. This is a collective wound. This is a collective issue. And I know it's dark, but we need people like me in these positions that work with dark energy to help transmute it, talking about it. Why? Well, let's be real. I'm in the Bible Belt right now, and it sucks. It's horrific the way that Christians have treated me and look at me. And that's on the like minor scale of what a lot of these organized religions are actually deep down doing at their core and how they're really misleading people's ability to discern dark energy. For example, people throwing rocks at me as a prophetess, as a woman minister, as a seer. I'm a messenger of death. I am a prophet. I see world events before they happen, not tied to a religion. Okay. They throw rocks at me and call me a witch, but then they go vote for Donald Trump. So, and vote against their own best interests. We've seen this with the farmers who are unfortunately in an unaliving crisis right now. They voted against their own interests. Mexicans, people of color, veterans, okay, women, the disabled. There's a number of demographics that voted for Donald Trump. They were deceived by false light. And meanwhile, people like me, the real ministers of the earth, which, let's be real, some of the most powerful healers are women. The matriarch in the home is like goddess, mother, she always wins, right? She is the wisest one. The healthy feminine, conscious feminine is intuitive, okay? She can see to protect her family. I always show up with my family. They know when there's time before tragedy strikes. I always, show up to protect minds at that right time where there is time to do something to manipulate energy to help us. And now, whether my family listens to me or not, that's out of my control, but I show up for mine. And that is the true feminine energy. True feminine energy is full of faith, is intuitive, is right brained. And often she is what we call the lost goddess. She's left out of the Bible. She's demonized. She's called a witch. Okay, if I were to take a picture like this, they would come after me, and people have told me I should unalive myself. Okay, but when they get their Jesus candles and he's doing it, it looks great. So, and they have that burning over their fireplaces. So, in today's video, I'm going to help you to not be deceived anymore because we're in a crisis and you helped bring us here. We all did. Our collective consciousness is suffering. Let's admit it. And let's offer solutions so that we can transcend and go higher. So, this one is really deep for me. I grew up devout Christian and in the Catholic Church as well. Catholic preschool. My mom cleaned at a Catholic rectory. I would go there and hang out in the rectory where the priests live. My mother's sister was always in different Catholic churches. So I would go to two different Christian summer camps growing up as a child. One on like staying pure until marriage. The other one was just a Christian summer camp. I still wear the cross today. I see this not what we would think, but I see us as the living cross, as a clairvoyant. I see us as light beings that literally look like the living cross. This is what we look like at soul level. A lot more light and color too, but we do have this type of cardinal direction look. So it means something to me. It's deep to me. I was around, I feel, in around Jesus' time. I do believe in the Christ, but I also believe in his counterpart, Mary, and what we may know as the Sophia. Um, and let me be real, a lot of spiritual people, they don't like to say like Jesus or like that the cross does help clear. It does. It is protective. It does raise my vibration to feeling safe. It is a reminder for me, like a symbol or totem, and it's very holy in my world. Okay. Do I identify as Christian? Absolutely not. Maybe you do, that's fine. I know the church is like, I love, what about love about the church and organized religion is a lot of these religions teach compassion, forgiveness, prayer. A lot of these church organizations are, working deeply within the communities and giving back and working with the homeless and the hungry. And that's, I love, I can't argue that. I subscribe to it. But we have to be honest that it's been heavily distorted and used to control people and hijack consciousness in the mind and the body, and especially women, and used for ethnic cleansing and war, of course. So with end times, that's over. We are going higher. You're going from basement thinking to penthouse thinking. Basement consciousness to penthouse consciousness. You guys have been following me. I talk about this all the time. It is time because we're in war, in America. Most people don't recognize that. Our collective consciousness brought us in America to now there's military on our street and people don't realize what's happening. They're not really present or aware of the state that we're in. So I'm going to help you guys to stop throwing stones at the woman that's a prophetess and seer, and know that, I'll be real with you. What type of women do I hang out with? If I'm getting any guidance from a woman, she can see. I can go with her, or even remotely, and she's able to tap into what I'm doing, my life, where I'm headed. She can communicate with my angels and give me a healing message without any background information. That is the intuitive matriarch. That is the conscious feminine energy. Conscious feminine energy is intuitive. Okay, we are the healers. This is our birthright. It's not a gift. I have an anointing, yes, but I'm not special. Okay, I'm just in my feminine energy and I have this heightened ability. So we want to break the distortions down. I'm not anti-Christian. I want to be clear. I'm anti-distortion. I'm anti-spiritual abuse, and I'm pro-spiritual discernment. Okay, so I'm going to kind of speak from a place of spiritual sovereignty and not become, the very energy that's harmed me. Okay, because it has been very hard. So I'm in Texas. I'm in the Bible Belt. And the wound here in Texas, if you were to tap into the frequency, we're not fully awakened yet here. It is a melting pot of different religions. If you didn't know, in McKinney, Texas, there's one of the largest Hindu temples in the world that brings a lot of Hindu to the location to pray. And it's beautiful. And I love to see different temples in America, because I think that this is an immigrant nation that is really rooted in diversity, not just like, I hate to see the political machines at play pushing like Christianity in schools when there's Islam and Muslim, there's people that practice Judaism. Like, why are we forcing others to do what we think is best? And, it's crazy because deep down, I think Christians feel this need to help people not go to hell. That's their way, religion helped them, and they don't want people to burn in hell. That's, I think, where people are trying to come from a good place, but it really, let's be real, in 2025, going into 2026, depending on when I post this video, it is spiritual abuse disguised as righteousness, and it needs to stop. I think a good perception of what Christianity really is in today's world, if you want to take the blinders off, is white Christian nationalism. The cults tied to Christianity are some of the darkest. And working with clients that have escaped these prisms are the toughest cases. Let's be real. Growing up Christian, it took me years to decolonize and deprogram my religion. It took me years. And to this day, there's still a lot of the toxic shame and fear that comes from it. So what I've experienced in Christianity is it's not necessarily what we would say Christianity is, because Christianity comes from a place of like trying to be like turning the cheek and forgiving and loving like Jesus the Christ preached. But really, it is dominion theory and patriarchal fear of feminine power. Some examples of what it's like to be a mystic in today's world, where these mega churches receive huge donations and they're not laying hands on other people and healing people. I am and I'm forgotten and people throw rocks at me. I have helped people to heal themselves. Key. It's not me healing them, it's them healing them. I've helped people to eliminate pain, diagnosis, extraordinary, imbalances brought to harmony after working with me in several sessions, and I'm under supported. And I've received side stares. When people find out what I do, they run away. They whisper accusations. I've been called a witch. I've been called demonic. People tell me that demons tell me all of this information. I know everything because of demons, they tell me. And men have really weaponized scripture to control, shame, and threaten my existence. I had a pastor in Houston reach out to me and say, hello. This is on a site like similar to LinkedIn, but for business owners. And I said, and I tapped in, I said, what's this about? But I reached out back to him and I said, how can I serve? How can I help serve you? What can we do, together? And he responded, I don't think you can help me at all. I'm a pastor. And I blocked him and ignored him. I didn't respond. I'm not going to respond to that ignorance because I'm a pastor too. I'm a real pastor. It's between me and the angels, me and spirit, me and Jesus, who was a mystic. And that's part of where I get a lot of my power from, not only my intelligence system, but also from a higher power. And I know that, and my clients know that. And I don't need to prove that to anybody. I'm not in the business to prove. I'm not in the business to beg. Angels don't beg. Angels don't prove. We have free will. They cannot live your life for you. Your spirit guides cannot tell you exactly what to do. And I follow that law. That's who I work for. So, not man, which that pastor, I would be very mindful of any of these pastors at churches because they're thinking everything that they usually will say, it's been put on my heart or Jesus told me. They don't have real discernment of energy. I had someone in my family say, I explained that I think a loved one came through. I believe they don't have to believe it's true, and gave this powerful message of bringing us together and told me what was going on. And the person flipped out on me and said, that's not our relative, that's a demon. And so, me humbly, I said, look, I'm eager for women in my life. I'm eager for matriarchs to be in my life. But I see the matriarch as a seer. So I said, please tell me where in my energy field do you feel there's a demonic attachment? And I'd also like for you to tell me how it started, what kind of entity it is, and how to remove it. My family member couldn't. Okay. She doesn't have the skills to do that. She's tongue tied. She doesn't know how, right? Because that's my job. I'm trained in clinical depossession. I'm a quantum healer. I'm a Reiki master. I help people to depossess themselves. Okay. And so we have no real respect for the feminine healer, for the midwife, for the female mystic, the prophetess, because it's been engraved in us not to. And men have weaponized scripture to control us. Okay. So, and for a lot of men, our vibration literally threatens their existence. A lot of men, the patriarchal systems that created the Bible, they channeled it, they were mediums. They had the limited consciousness of the time, usually rooted in the religious systems of the time and also Roman theology. So these men were not great men. They were in the Bible, they were drunken, perverted men, and they had lenses over their mediumship. So what came through, who knows if it was even them or Jesus or God? Because if you really look at what God, Yahweh, was telling a lot of these people, like kill your son and, sacrifice to me, it's dark. And what's unfortunate is the people of those times resonated with it, and people today do too. Okay? Be real. People resonate with, I'm the chosen one, you're not. I'm going to heaven, you're going to hell. People right now are hype for a coming of Jesus. They keep saying, Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming. Jesus is here. And if you could see, you would know that. And if you could understand, you'd know the symbology behind his message. And it's just really unfortunate that even in today's world, we still don't question that a lot of the books in the Bible, we don't know the author. I have studied the Bible for a long time. I have had a study Bible, and one of my favorite things about my study Bible is it tells me the demographic of the author that wrote it. And a lot of them, we don't even know who they were. And I also question it because where is the goddess in here? Where is she? And in Western religion, really just Catholicism even brings up Mother Mary. But in Christianity, as I grew up, I wasn't allowed to pray to her. It was all about praying to him and waiting for my husband and being submissive to what he wants and not necessarily even me. And it's just dominion and patriarchal fear of the feminine that's a powerful healer and um, seer and that calls out. She's the truth teller. She midwives, they would help women to track ovulation so that couples could know and be educated on a woman's fertility cycle. So you don't need birth control. If you're plugged in and you can see where we are in the moon, you'll know where you are in your moon. If you know what your cervical fluids, smell like, feel like, taste like, whatever, what you look like, your cervix feels like, and what angle, you'll know if you can conceive or not. And this was a real threat to, I feel, the medical system. There's this huge push to weaponize our endocrine system. I have a video on YouTube, you can check it out. It's the endocrine system and spirituality. Because if the endocrine system is hijacked, then we're hijacked. Your hormones dictate everything from your mood to how you feel to your sleep cycles, everything. So there's this agenda to make us more like technology and controlled and away from our natural rhythms and our natural cycles. And the reality is, we're the greatest technology. They mimicked us. So don't forget that. Okay. So it really silenced a lot of people. And a lot of people fear what they don't understand. A lot of people are they're afraid because of the church says to be, because Hollywood says to be. I talked about endocrine system, the pineal gland, your third eye. I hear so much like myths about it, and I'm like, that's your eye of truth. That's your God. Like, how are you disconnected from that? And maybe that's why you don't love yourself and want to go and nip and tuck. And maybe that's why you aren't in the career path that's really aligned with you. Your parents kind of pushed you into that, and you're doing that to please them, and you're beating yourself up and like running out of time in life because you're devoted to someone else's consciousness. So this is real spiritual coercion, not faith. Any belief system that requires death, being silenced, or submission of the feminine energy is not divine. It's terrified. So let's go into the witch archetypal energy and why the church feared her. Okay. The witch historically was the intuitive woman, it was the mother, the healer, the midwife, the seer, the one who reads energy without needing permission from someone else. I don't have to go to a priest to confess or say my sins or hear from God. I go within my heart for that. When you have those Sacred Heart of Jesus candles where he's like this and his heart is open, that's a portal. Your heart is a portal. They say tarot cards is a portal. Well, so is the church. And matter of fact, you have portals within your energy field, like your heart. You can tap into your womb and channel. You could tap into your right brain and channel. So you're a portal. Okay. And you don't need permission from anyone to speak to your God. The church did not erase the witch because she was evil. They erased her because she couldn't be controlled. So, esoterically, the witch represents direct access to source. No priest, no intermediary, no hierarchy, and that threatened the empire. So, we're in a time now where the patriarchy is falling and the lost goddess is returning. So, the matriarchy is ascending. I say this often. We've never really seen the healthy conscious feminine, nor have we seen the healthy conscious masculine. I believe in divine union, that when two come together, there's more power and we feel happier, and that we are truly interdependent creatures, that we need one another and we should take positive ownership of the people we love and care for them. I think that's really, really important. And we've resorted to, even when I look at like all women's societies, there's still lack. There still isn't all the way harmony. We really do need man and woman to be side by side. I see this, and that's what I'm here to preach today. Now, the lost goddess wasn't destroyed, but she was buried in the body. She was turned off, lights off. Okay, you can't see. My family member that said that a demon was telling me things she couldn't see for herself. Now, I'm trained in something called psychometry, which is the ability to tap into an object's energy field. I'm also tapped in, I can do it remote psychometry. So I can read people, their homes, their pets, their cars, their anything remotely. And that is a key for the goddess because she could go and she could give prophecy. She could go and give healing guidance. I see that your child is struggling with this. There's dark energy in the closet. Clear this, and the child should be able to sleep again. Okay, that's power. And guess what? She didn't have to go pay a man or a priest to do that. And so it was taken from us. So if you're trying to reclaim the lost goddess within yourself, you have to tap into your intuition. You have to become more aware of the natural cycles of Earth and astrology. Whether you want to fight that astrology is evil or not, your whole Bible is based on it. All of our mainstream holidays are. And we are in cycles with the Earth. So, maybe you are having painful periods and like menstrual cycles because you're not remembering that this is a moon cycle. Maybe you are disconnected from your body and not one with nature, your own nature. And she also lives in emotion. I think of, me is the Scorpio rising is a, water sign. This is planet ocean. Ocean is symbolic of emotion, and the feminine energy is water element, is currency, okay, is flowing, is sensual, okay, is nourishing. That is our energy. So you ladies, you don't want to repress your emotion. You want to be in tune with your emotion and be able to process your emotions effectively. Okay. And that also really comes with being heard and received from others as well. So I think relationships are really great to help heal emotional wounds. Now, she's also sensual. If when you work with Mother Mary, you'll understand that she worked with the divine rose, and she was a big promoter of sensuality. And that's why, like, when you ever see a really feminine woman, she has this essence about her. She's sensual, and that's the true conscious feminine. Now, if we were in a conscious world with conscious men and conscious feminine, guess what? We could be we could wear our sexy jewelry and like, skirts and tube tops and not be sexually harassed everywhere. You know, we should be able to be sensual and wear what we want to wear without men harassing us. They should get a grip. They should have more respect for us. But we, again, have not been to this level of mutual respect and understanding of a sacred act that's been perverted. Now, she also, the goddess, lives in earth wisdom. She also lives in the womb, okay, physical and energetic. She is the womb of creation. Now, we live in her, right? We live through her, as in Mother Earth, which is the feminine. When we think of like the feminine, we also think of the moon. And when we think of the masculine god, we think of the sun. And this is where like winter solstice is coming on, and we're actually practicing like an Invictus solstice. We're practicing on the 25th of December, hail to a sun god. And the sun comes up again when this is all about the solstice and the cycles of our seasons. So when the church rose, the goddess split into the virgin because that's acceptable, right? She's the virgin waiting for him. She was also simultaneously seen as like the whore, the scarlet, the Madonna. Okay, and so she was punished. Now, she was also seen at the same time as the mother, which was also controlled. So she was never sovereign. Since the church rose, she's never been sovereign. And that's why we've been living under such a harsh patriarchy system for so long. That might be why we're at war as well and coming after one another and always divisive instead of nurturing, which is the conscious feminine. So now she rises again as discernment, embodiment, energy literacy, and self trust. Okay. And that terrifies systems built on obedience. So, this is why a lot of when I talk to people like from my hometown, I used to babysit for this girl. Like, she has 5 kids, and I babysat all of her kids. Her kids loved me for years. She's friends with my family, my mom, and when I told I was going for a walk and it was at her, I just showed up at her place because and I was like, hi, and she's like, hi, oh my God. And we start talking. But when I tell her what I do and she's in the medical field, she like cut the conversation and ran inside. It terrifies people to be empowered. It terrifies people to be plugged into your energy field, to be into your intelligence field, and to go against what the mainstream is doing. Okay, reference my inauthenticity video. People are afraid to be authentic. We're in cults calling it family. We're in cults calling it church. If you don't think this way, there is shame, there is punishment, there is outcasting. And so people are very obedient because of fear. So let's go over some discernment 101 on how to read energy, not religion. So you don't keep getting fooled by false light over and over again. Okay. This is essential. Now, true light can feel very calm and subtle. When you're connected to your angels or your higher mind or the goddess, you're really in a sense of clarity and grounded presence. There is also a sense of humility and accountability, and your nervous system registers the energy as safety. So that's your tool for discernment is your body symbology. You have to be present enough and like remove all of the lens so that you can see clearly. Because if you have lens of religion or dogma or stuff you've learned in an education system or in Hollywood or from, different books, you will have that lens over your discernment of energy over your body. And so false light can be very deceiving to you. And what I've noticed with this president election is that it's sad, but a lot of people resonate with false light. It's sad. They resonate with Donald Trump. He's the example of the collective consciousness right now. That's where we're at. Okay. It's sad. Um, and they all got played, all of them. Everyone's getting played by Donald Trump. Are you serious? And if you think he's not coming for you, good luck. Good luck. I was just commenting on like Sean Ryan's post he put out. He's getting sued by a Republican, and I'm just like, we don't want to hear it. You guys demonize us prophets, the female ones, and honor these men in the Bible, and then we're trying to give warning to protect us from going into camps and the economy plummeting and people being pushed into their cars and then make it being illegal and going into camps. And what do you guys do to us? And you resonate with this person because this is one of the first people you've ever seen in politics that's actually not like really political. And I can resonate with that because I'm not for the Matrix, right? But you were deceived. Everything that he had promised is a lie. And you have to be able to see through that. I want to change the education system. I want to change these systems like, what's happening with immigration. I want to change what else is he big on? The medical field, but everything is like twisted with this person. And so false light feels like urgency, superiority, chosen narratives. He's very boastful about how he's the greatest person and, he compares himself to Jesus. And, it's us versus them thinking narratives as well. So he recently put out the White House, a horrific Jingle Bells video about he doesn't care where immigrants go, but he's going to send them somewhere. Um, Women and children are being ripped from their appointments and homes. People are I've been told by Christians that I shouldn't be so vocal about politics as a light worker. Um, I would be false light if I wasn't using my platform to speak out on what's happening and speak out on human rights. And this monster is us versus them. It's fear masked as righteousness. And he also has a deep inability to self-reflect. So that's what false light feels like. True source is never, needs to dominate. True source doesn't need to overstep someone else's free will. True source respects diversity because all of us and everything is an aspect of source, including your desk and inanimate objects in your home. Everything is an aspect of creator. Now, demonic energy versus shadow versus ego versus earthbound spirit versus dark force entity. Okay, so this is critical because so many people are deeply confused. I want to be clear from my experience. Demonic energy is actually rare. What's common is an unintegrated shadow, ego possession, and trauma fused with belief. Now, I tend to see demonic energy when I look into like the politics of the world. You could consider demonic energy as in like the fallen angels. So it's like the ancients always called angels like the beings that came from the sky or otherworldly beings. So you could say aliens and angels are interconnected. And they're also our soul tribe. We come from the sky. We come from below. We come from above. We're not from here. And there are many different beings in the Star Wars and the system. We are, because it's end times, the old consciousness is dying out. They're slowly allowing us to know this truth through disclosure because they can't avoid it anymore because the angels, the aliens, step in so we don't nuke ourselves. The aliens will step in so we don't completely obliterate Earth. So they will interfere with free will if we disrupt the universal grid in that context. So they're making themselves more known. They're also the good angels, the high vibrational aliens and beings, otherworldly beings. They're also putting downloads in us star seeds and empaths and light workers to go out and guide and give healing. And they're working with us to help the collective become more integrated in unity and healing than ever before. So they're making themselves more exposed. So they can't help but to give us disclosures. That's why we push to keep waking up, keep getting conscious because they need us. We don't need them. And the more we wake up and look and observe what's happening and know who's communicating with us, the more that they're going to have to be more forthtelling and truthful with us. What's hard about disclosure is that when people find out that aliens exist, it negates religion. That's going to be very difficult for people to deal with. When you find out that way versus on your own, you feel really manipulated and you might feel resentment and hatred. Okay. So demonic energy is like fallen angels. I see it as draconian energy beings, reptilian energy beings. These are the ones I would call like demonic. Certain ones in Satanism, spirits and entities, some dark force entities, but they are master manipulators. So it is true that you get the title of false light. Look at everybody voted for Donald Trump. Like people were, and they still are. It's disgusting. Um, and they vote for one reason versus the rest of us, right? Because they're so narrow-minded, and what hurts one hurts the whole, and we kind of just all voted against our best interests. It's messed up, but it is deceptive in that way. So that is true. You will more likely be deceived if you don't have anointing, or you're not grounded, or you don't have discernment skills. Now, I see demonic energy also in military contracts, not just reserves, like active duty, active combat. These men and women that gave up their free will to someone else tend to have demonic possessions and attachments. Their soul can't handle what they've done in war, and they begin to have a vibration of pure hatred, anger, disbelief, revenge. The trauma is so deep they attract these energies through a like resonance. You will also see demonic energy within certain cults, in different cults and religious, extreme religions that are rooted in fear and control. You'll find those demonic energies controlling those people, and everybody's just like a puppet, from these beings, or they will literally be attached to the field, or they will inhabit you. There is also demonic attachments we'll see in the music industry, okay, in Hollywood, people in those high places that can persuade the masses with song, because song will further hypnotize people. Imagery will further hypnotize you. It's through your senses, and they have that art of persuasion with those platforms. A lot of discernment of energy, of like demonic energy versus you're working with your angels of light, is like demonic energy can make your manifestation come quick. Like you work with a demon and now you got money overnight. Whereas reality, if you're an entrepreneur, you'll know real growth takes time and dedication and persistence, where it may take somebody 5 years to become a millionaire, or 10. Working with a demon, you might become a millionaire next week or overnight. Okay. It wants to trade for your soul. It will give you something that is part of this world, like money or worldly possessions, in order for your soul. Okay, so you want to protect your soul. You don't want to just do that. You want to actually come here and learn the lessons you've come here to learn versus just shortcut, because you do pay for that in the end. I also see it in the medical field. A lot of the demon that I've read, this one doctor, I remember, I'm like, this isn't a human. So they're in these places of like um, research on the human body, and they have access to surgery to insert things. Now, I want to also say this channel is for entertainment only purposes. I'm going to say that. Now, I want to also say it's alleged too. That's just what I see. Where else? So, in the education system, I don't really see it there, but you basically look at the bigger systems on the planet, and that's where they are. Oh, police force, military. There, I mentioned that. That's where these entities reign. Now, what's more common again is like people are ran or possessed by their shadow side, their ego, fragmented parts of themselves, trauma, and it's fused with belief. Okay, people feel that those parts of them are the real part of them. Now, to discern the demonic energy feeling is like it can feel really, really, really uncomfortable to be around somebody with like really dark energy. You might have emotional like outbursts. You might feel an immense amount of fear, coldness, chills on your spine. You might smell a phantom odor of sulfur, which is usually a lot different than like an earthbound spirit kind of smells like decaying flesh. Um, it also feels predatory, and it's devoid of empathy, and it's draining after interaction. You get completely siphoned and like the life sucked out of you. And like when I watch Donald Trump, I get angry. I get really upset. Okay, so it's a manipulator of emotion so they can siphon that. So our job is to not be upset. That's like prisons. It's like a place where they conjure souls. I was just working with a gentleman on the street, and he came up to me in the Walmart parking lot. I feel like I'm about to trance, you guys. So sometimes when I trance, I'll stare. I might close my eyes, but when I work with angels, and this is a type of talk where angels need to be taken over. I don't let spirits come through me. I do mental mediumship, but angels are allowed to. And in this case, they do help protect you from demonic energy. When I speak on the truth on this, I do get attacked. So let me just get where I need to go. I was in Walmart, going to Walmart, walking through the parking lot, and a gentleman stopped me yesterday and tried to sell me popcorn for like a church ministry. And I'm getting into this story because he was telling me about his life story and how he was in prison and then he got back out and did the same old like gang life activity. And I said, and I stopped him, I said, because the prison didn't help you to heal, right? He's like, no. And now he's in this church program. And I'm like, that's not helping you to heal either, is it? Not really. Not really. Okay. It's so superficial. But the prison systems, they're here to break men. Specifically, I feel men of color. They're here to break their souls. They're here to try to control them, restrict their freedom, and they siphon it. So there are demonic entities or otherworldly beings that are working through the prison system to conjure energy. Right now, with the deportation camps, it's the same thing. To me, when I tap into those are along the lines of death camps. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to say these things. Okay, but it's the truth. And the church doesn't want to speak on it. They don't. And that's a shame. I don't like to shame people, but it's horrific. So it has a larger agenda than just like your neighbor who's like an a-hole who like flicked you off and knocked your, garbage can over. Like people call that demonic. It's not. He might just be grumpy or have like anger issues, or maybe he does have a spiritual attachment, but it's usually not demonic. Like we like to just throw that word out very easily. Like people tell me I'm demonic, they can't really tell. Um, like I said, they don't have the skills to really see for themselves, and they're using a lens as their discernment. So it's just really important that you understand these systems and that that's where the real demonic energy lies, okay? Not your neighbor. There's no demon probably attached to your kid. Certain deep, deep drug addictions and alcohol addictions will accompany demonic energy, but not necessarily. They'll accompany people with big contracts. So let's say there's an individual that like is someone like me where I'm like put on a platform. If I were to have a drug addiction, and this is why I stay sober, it's because if I were, they would probably come after me versus someone who's not going to be out on the platforms using their voice to help people heal. They don't really care. So you have probably Leo somewhere in your life contract. You battle demons. That's why it's the lion, like the Lion of Judah, is that archetypal energy. I'm a Leo moon. Donald Trump is a Leo rising, you know. So the lion fights the beast. Now your shadow feels very emotional. It's reactive. It's defensive. It's very human. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're demonic. And the church labeled the feminine shadow as demonic because it refused submission. That's why people like they shadow on me because like they call me demonic because like I don't just submit to what someone else tells me to do, how to think, or how to be. I think for myself. I operate through my own consciousness. I'm aware of the different consciousnesses that can and do speak through me, such as maybe at times I do get in my inner child where I'm like, this hurts. My mother wound is being poked at right now. Okay, I'm aware. I take accountability. I'm not a victim. That's a threat to these systems because for the person that doesn't know who they are, they go and run and get help. They go get on meds. They don't know how to heal themselves and they pay into these systems that pay them big bucks. And that's what it's about is harvesting, okay? Soul, money, and power. So false light in modern times, they often use patriotism and the saving moral superiority. Okay, they claim that they're chosen by God and others are evil or disposable, and accountability doesn't apply to them. Sound familiar to our modern day warfare and politics? Yeah. That's not Christ consciousness. It is the ego enthroned as God. And many were deceived not because they're bad people, right? People like Black people that voted for Trump, they're not bad people. They're just traumatized. They wanted some form of safety that they resonated with this person, and they confused power with divinity. Okay, like the Mexicans are not bad people. They were just deceived. A lot of them voted for him because of Christianity. And it's a rude awakening right now. We can't avoid the consequences. I know a lot of Muslim people voted for him. I don't know how. His rhetoric about Islam is disgusting. Women voted for him as we begin to slowly lose our rights. And we've normalized it being okay to badmouth women publicly, especially women of color. Hence, with this big push to end diversity programs and DEI and questioning Black female surgeons if they're good enough or really fully equipped to do the job. What did Charlie Kirk say about Black women? That we don't have the intelligence or brain power to make decisions regarding X, Y, and Z. It's disgusting. That's demonic. Okay. They're in these places of power and they're master manipulators. And because of the church, I'm calling out the church today. That's why we're here. People are not bad people. They're confused because of the church, and it needs to stop. Christ energy would never incite fear, dehumanize people, and demand worship of a man. Period. Christ energy would never excuse cruelty as holy. Christ said, the healings that I do, you can do greater. He didn't say, come worship me. He really was about you being empowered. He was more of a mystic than a religious man. And he, from what I understand working with him, studied many different religions. And him, that's what they tried to, because, what they do the same thing to women, witches, witch hunts. Now, this one might hurt, but it's real and hits home with me. Why Christian women are often the cruelest. Many Christian women suppress their intuition to survive, period. It's for survival that they're unplugged, and they've found peace, hope, and the ability to manifest through the religion so they feel it's truth and real. Many Christian women were also rewarded for obedience. So she looks like the good girl. Okay. I'm here to say, be the black cat, be the rebel. The rebel makes the biggest change. Okay. Don't harm people, but think for yourself and find reward in that. Reward yourself. Don't find the reward in what other people are like doing to validate you. Find healthy validation in people that actually support your authenticity and mission. Now, many Christian women have also learned, and whether they're aware of it or not, subconsciously, to police other women to stay safe. So a lot of other Christian women feel threatened by the mystic. I'm a real threat to a lot of Christian women because let's be real, um, they can't give healings like me. They can't give guidance to somebody that's a stranger on the street. I can go work with the homeless for all day, all day. I don't need their background information. I gave that gentleman on the street yesterday. I said, well, what's going on is father wounds. Jail won't do it to you. It won't change you. This church won't. You have father wounds. And you need to understand that, we can heal this part. And I won't say the entire message, but there was that. And his grandma came through. He's like, how'd you know she just died? I'm like, she's here right now. And you deserve peace. And then the grandma was telling me about his daughters. I say, I see kids. He's like, oh my, he's like, how'd you know all this? Oh, because I'm a real minister. I'm really connected, And so Christian women can't do that. What they're out on the streets doing is pushing the Bible. And they'll sit with their Bible written by these horrific men with this horrific, vengeful, evil God that says, you don't follow me, you burn in hell. And they push, and that's their ministry. It's their mission. And so the real mystic is truly a threat to something that they've spent their entire lives devoted to. which is really anti-Christianity because when you're really Christian, you can do an ego death and say, I was wrong and I want to do right. Not many women have that in them. A lot of women in a more compassionate light that I've noticed is people don't feel that they can tap into their spiritual abilities. They don't feel that they can or that they have them, which isn't true. It's just underdeveloped and you need to train. So when they see me, they feel, they see me and that I'm free. I'm sensual. As a reverend, I like to promote sensuality. I want to start moving my body on YouTube more and bringing dance to my YouTube and poetry and song to my YouTube. The freedom of my mind and heart is a threat. They see me as intuitive and they say, how does she get so intuitive? How does she know all this? It's a threat. And I'm also unapologetic. You're not going to like make me get out of my authenticity. And I won't apologize for that. I won't apologize for calling out the church today. They get to run free all the time and praised, and so I called it out. And I'm also spirit led, which is what I don't really see most being. Um, I live my life to serve, and spirit guides my life, my ministry, my life, where I go. And when they see this, it threatens, I threaten that, like, the sacrifice that they made of themselves, and that pain turns into projection. So, you know, I'm not afraid of God. I'm afraid of humans more so who confuse God with control. And the divine, I'm going to tell you right now, does not threaten, stone to death, silence, or shame people. I had a friend who I've known for like 8 years and recently pulled the Bible out on me and read that mediums should be stoned to death. And I said, that's your God. You resonate with punishment, not me. And don't you dare bring that over here to me because that's evil. That's evil. I don't play that. I don't play hurting one another because they twist it. They twist it, especially the Klan in charge right now. They twist it on people of color. It's disgusting. And they use it to imprison people. They use it to say, I'm better than you. And you deserve to be silenced, shamed, or put to death. So I put on Sean Ryan's page. I'm like, you know, I was out here speaking on this stuff because it's going to come down to freedom of speech. We're all being on a database now. If you are speaking out against this administration, and they believe in public execution, Charlie Kirk was for it. This is not okay. If your spirituality requires eliminating someone else out or doing harm to someone else, it's not holy. So the divine goddess was never lost. She was waiting for the nervous system to feel safe enough to remember her. And that's one thing I really want to leave you guys with is that in order to discern, false light, you really have to decolonize yourself and reprogram your mind. And you have to step away from the mainstream, the trends, the ways of the world. You have to step away from, you have to understand that other people's consciousnesses are influencing you. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, please let me know. And best luck for you on your spiritual journey of discernment. If you'd like to train in your abilities, you should work with me because I can telepathic. I can hear who's influencing you. A lot of times when we first meet our spirit guides, like that's not a spirit guide. That's earthbound that needs to be freed. And so we clear all the attachments so we can finally hear source. So you might need someone that's telepathic for that, or psychic, or tuned into psychometry, which I am. I can work with you anywhere in the world remotely. You don't have to be face to face with me, but I do offer sessions in my private home. So reach out, jojoempathic.com or jojo at jojoempathic.com. Okay, guys, have a wonderful week.